Chill or Be Chilled by TotalSkeletonTrash. Chapter 14, in which you discover that your parents did not sell back their textbooks. And we have so much room here! You can hear Papyrus talk, you discover, from about 5 rooms away. After calling the cops and the insurance people, then getting your new housemate's limited possessions put away, Sans unpacks in a matter of minutes. Papyrus takes his time, claiming a suite of rooms, one for his action figures, another for his rock collection, and the old musty library as his puzzle room. You feel like you need to take a few minutes to just sit down and adjust. So, there's 2 guys living with you now. Well, 2 skeletons. And one of them had kissed you a few hours ago. Oh God, had you moved in with your boyfriend of one day? Had you just thought of him as your boyfriend? That is furiously embarrassing. And hugely unlike you, you think, flopping down on the couch and whistling for Ghost. And yet, the corners of your mouth turn up when Sans wanders in, an electrical engineering textbook that must have belonged to one of your parents, in his hand. He plops down next to you, sitting cross-legged, and opens the book on his lap, looking intrigued. He seems to know that you just need a few quiet moments right now. Well, as quiet as possible, given Papyrus's excited phone conversation from one of his rooms. "Oh, I am sure you'll love it," Papyrus is saying. There's a pause, then he cackles. "Of course Santa will be able to find me here, human. Honestly, what a question." Oh dear, you'll need to get the boys Christmas presents, you realize. Well, you have a little extra in your budget, though that should probably go towards a new car fund, you think reluctantly. Sans is smiling faintly as he reads, hearing Papyrus's excitement. You decide it's not weird, living with him, as long as you don't think of him as your boyfriend. Just a pal that you kissed, who helped free all the monsters from the underground. A thought occurs to you. Hey, Sans? Sans glances up, still smiling. Is Papyrus talking to Frisk? Sans snickers. If he's not, he's made another human friend I don't know about. But Frisk doesn't speak, right? A look of realization crosses Sans' face. Oh, yeah, Frisk still has a monster phone. With, like, a video screen? You ask, folding your own feet up under you. Sans shakes his head. No. He closes the book on his lap and shifts a little to face you. I mean, think about it. Humans and monsters were separated for hundreds of years. It would be amazing if we were speaking the exact same language after all that time. You nod cautiously. After all, you have to look up some phrases in Shakespeare's plays, and that hadn't been that long ago, all things considered. Monsters can... This is hard to explain. We just get what you're saying, you know? You have to laugh at that. Sans, that is just a terrible explanation. Sans chuckles after a moment, scratching his skull. Okay, let me try again. He thinks for a while. So you have a soul. Isn't that a philosophical... No, Sans says. You can swear that he's rolling his eyes, but it doesn't exactly work the same with those bright lights in his sockets. You have a soul. Period. Immutable fact, okay? Okay. You grin. And I can see it, and hear it, and I know it, and if I wanted, I could even touch it. Your brow furrows, trying to wrap your mind around that. Really? What does it look like? My soul. You're not 100% certain he's not just messing with you. Sans' face grows slightly reverent as he stares somehow through you. Bright, stubborn, shifting like a candle flame. Not fire colors, though. Like the light just above the candle. But saturated with color, really rich? Don't know if there's a word for that color. Don't know if humans can see it. Determined. He says, then meets your eyes again. And funny, he says with a small smile. Oh, you shift slightly, feeling, well, flattered. It's a very good soul. He assures you, then shakes his head, remembering what he'd been explaining. Anyway, we can see them, and we can hear them, and we can talk through them. He shrugs helplessly. I didn't know how to sign when I met the kiddo. I know what a lot of signs mean now, but I don't really need them. As long as I concentrate, I can hear Frisk and... He smiles very wide, thinking about something that genuinely makes him happy. The kiddo can hear us. Not with ears, but... He looks immensely satisfied at that. You struggle to imagine what that must have been like. You knew Frisk's story from the news, of course. You'd placed them almost immediately once you heard their name. Frisk, all alone, bruised from the fall down, hearing a voice for the very first time. You hope it was a nice voice. That must have been... You say, trailing off. Sans follows your train of thought and nods, his smile slipping slightly. Hard. He agrees. But wonderful too, sometimes, Frisk says. Poor kid. When most of us met them for the first time, it took us a little while to understand them. We were rusty. He said, some of us weren't great. Some of us decided to take the first swing. He shifts guiltily. A little kid on their own. It must have felt like the whole underground was just trying to kill him. I wouldn't have blamed the kid if they decided to swing back. He says, but he can't meet your eyes when he says that. Sans is an exceptionally bad liar sometimes. But Frisk is special. Very special. Frisk never quits. They would just talk and play and listen with the monsters they met, even when they got hurt for their troubles, until it clicked, and they left as friends. He continues a little proudly. I mean, I tried to keep an eye on him, but that kid is everywhere at once sometimes. Again, there's that strange undercurrent to his voice you can't just figure out. I'm glad they're up here, with Tori. Kid seemed way too old down below. Frisk is a lot more like a kid up here. He says, unfolding his legs to be able to lean down and scratch Ghost's back now that the cat has finally joined you. Cops say anything about when they're getting here? You grimace. They said they'll send some officers over sometime this week. You say reluctantly. I guess a trash car isn't exactly on the top of their priority list. Sans looks unsurprised. Yeah, figured. He says, scooping Ghost tentatively up and leaning against the armrest, swinging his legs up onto your lap. You raise an eyebrow. Comfy? You drawl. He gives you a wicked smile. Very. He picks his book back up, trying to figure out how to juggle both Ghost and the textbook. He definitely has a few things to learn about cats. Just then, Papyrus comes tearing in, his phone clapped to the side of his face. Reeds, there you are! I have a question. Go for it, Paps, you say with a laugh. Maybe Frisk and Toriel come over here for our battle plans tonight? He asks, his free hand making a nervous fist. Frisk would like to see this house, and I think you would like Toriel. You smile at him. Papyrus, this is your home now, remember? You can invite your friends over whenever you want. You assure him. Besides, I want to meet Frisk's mom, too. The Queen of Monsters. That's a hell of a title, you think. Oh, goody! Papyrus exclaims, then, wandering into the kitchen, begins to repeat the conversation verbatim for Frisk. Sans smiles up at you. Thanks for being so nice to my brother. He says quietly. You drum your fingers absently on his tibia, smirking back at him when Ghost succeeds at getting between him and the textbook. Good. At least he wasn't just a little butt to you and polite to all your friends. Your brother is awesome, you assure him. I really like him. He cracks me up, but he's such a nice guy. Sans nods slowly. He's too nice for his own good, he confides. But that's okay. I'll be an asshole for both of us if it means he gets to stay so nice. He settles back down, having managed to inch the cat out of the way of his book, and turns the page, falling silent except to make a small, displeased noise when your hand falls still. You chuckle and resume, eventually just running your fingers over the smooth bone, indulging your curiosity a little. It's warm and hard as steel. How could you have felt so comfortable in this bony lap last night? After a while, the doorbell rings, and Papyrus dashes past you with puppyish excitement to get the door. Sans peeks over the top of the book at you. That was really fast. Mm-hmm. You agree. You should really stand up. You're expecting, God, royalty, but you feel half melded to the couch. Even with heavy, bony legs on your lap, you can't remember the last time you felt this comfortable. Well, surely Paps will want to take them on a tour before he brings Frisk and Queen Toriel to see you, right? Sans watches you, and when he sees you're not in a rush, he hums quietly and resumes reading. You shrug mentally and pick up your phone, checking for any new messages. You look away only when you just feel a stare boring into you. You glance around and then grimace when you spot the source of the sensation. Undyne is standing in the threshold to the TV room. Her exposed eye is almost perfectly round, and her mouth is hanging open in undisguised delight. Sans notices that something has your attention and glances at your face, then follows your gaze to the doorway. Oh, hey Undyne, we figured you were Tori and Frisk. Alphys already done? He says, perfectly casual. Undyne's eye grows improbably wider, and with an incredible amount of effort, she finally manages to close her mouth. She clears her throat and says, in a very strained voice, Oh, hey. Reads? Sans? Reads and Sans? I'll be right back. She clears her throat, then backs up slowly. She doesn't make it out of hearing range before she lets out a loud, victorious whoop, followed by wild laughter. Sans is looking at you. He looks awfully pleased with himself, you note, trying not to smile. You do your best attempt at a stern look and wriggle out from under his legs, going to find Undyne. If she gets much more excited, she might break something, you rationalize. And, well, you still have to explain the whole roommates thing. She might not break something at that news. She might just break. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you liked it, hit the like button to let me know and subscribe to see what I make next. Links in the description lead to the original fic posted on AO3, as well as my Patreon and Ko-fi. If you like my stuff, please consider supporting me. Every little bit helps. Lastly, if you have a request for a recording, whether a one-shot or a series, let me know in the comments. I also do commissions, details of which are on my Patreon. So keep in touch. Bye!